Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. I'm the Educational Gamer, and we are playing Strategic Command, playing as the Allies in World War II. So Germany has started its attack on us, and it's looking very grim. You can see the Soviet lines here are very much hampered out. We are on the verge of turning it over to the Axis. I do just want to do a couple of things that I noted in between episodes. So firstly, I did move this British corps over here from this place over a little bit towards there, simply because the supply situation down there is horrendous. That does expose us a little bit on the Desert Reconnaissance group over here, which might be attacked from 3 areas, so I do at least hope that they are going to withdraw, but we will have to see about that. Other than that, of course, we did battle in the Mediterranean against the Italian shippings over here. We did manage to sink 1 capital ship, 1 battleship, 1 heavy cruiser. They might counterattack. These 2 guys here should be relatively safe because they are in Valletta, so in the capital of Malta, in the port. So that should protect them somewhat. And these guys over here are a little bit withdrawn, so that might be okay. Greece, I'm expecting to fall. On the Soviet side, we do have a line here in the south that looks somewhat stable. You can see all of these guys do form a line. In the north here we have some fortifications. Here we do follow the river. This guy is a little bit more exposed. And then here again these 2 guys are protected by the river. This one is a little bit set back, so maybe they won't be able to attack him quite as much. I'm slightly worried about the engineers here who are building up additional fortifications. But they are not extremely strong, so we'll have to see about that. We do have 1 tank group in reserve over here that we might be employing in some way sooner rather than later. Right, and then in the north over here things are looking okay-ish, I guess, between Lipia and Vilnius. So that area is somewhat safe, but we do have this bulge here in the center, and in particular over here we are pretty open. I do hope that the Pripyat marshes over here, so this marshy terrain with all of these rivers, that is an obstacle that they just can't pass through, and that would be good. So otherwise we'll be a little bit screwed. We also have our armored train over here, which hopefully is holding these guys a little bit back at least, but we'll have to see about that. Also Brest-Litovsk for the moment is holding out. Over here we did battle a couple of British ships not too long ago, but what I realized is we still have these destroyers and light ships. Ooh! I did not know that there was a submarine over here, but what we can see is that the... Can we strike over here? I think we cannot. Do you want to move you up here? Well, let's firstly try to attack with the destroyer. And one thing you can see is now that it has better anti-submarine warfare technology, it is much better at attacking submarines, so that's very nice. Let's bring in our second destroyer over here and nicely destroy that German submarine entirely. Very happy with that result. And that should be extremely good for us. And I think these light cruisers can just return to scupper flow. These submarines we'll need to withdraw another day. Good, that more or less settles it, except for one thing. I realized in last episode that I did upgrade a couple of these units, and I do think upgrading is very important. But actually I think what I should have done is operate these. Oh, I can't operate them anymore because I moved them. That is unfortunate. I will need to do that next turn. But what I did realize is that as the Soviet Union, what's happening is that we are still spending something on advanced infantry weapons. You can see we have 170 points invested into that, even though we can't actually make any more progress. We are locked at a 2 out of 2. I think some... No, actually that's it. You're just as advanced as you can be. So what we can do actually is disinvest some of this money. We'll get 50% back. That is enough, I think, to actually boost us up by quite a bit over here. So that is very nice. There's not necessarily a lot that we can do. thought I could have operated these guys, but apparently that is not a possibility because I moved them. Too bad. Anything that we want to upgrade then? All of these guys seem to be... It seems like all of these guys have moved or reinforced, so I don't think there is anything we can do. Let's just sort of hover around over here. Try to see if we could hit anything. No. Likewise on the reinforcements. I think it's more or less the same thing. Could do with these tactical bombers, but I'm not too keen on upgrading these guys or reinforcing these guys. And yeah, this tactical core, this core over there is just not that important right now, so that's fine. Nevertheless, what we can do is bring up this garrison unit over here from Sevastopol. Sevastopol is a very important target, but you know, if I can stabilize that line over here, I'll be very happy. Good. We could even think about operating these guys. But then again, it's not that crucial. I mean, these guys really don't have that much to do right now. So, garrison's also not extremely crucial. So, that being said, I think we can turn it over to the Axis. Let's see whether we get a decision. US oil embargo hits Japanese morale, which was very low to begin with. Engineers have completed their fortifications. That at least is very nice, because that means we will be a little bit more successful over there. We are also pushing the USA towards the Allies, which is extremely good for us. Yeah, United States imposing oil embargo, and yeah, the US is really starting to come into play strongly over here. They're also getting better infantry weapons, lots of items, yeah, a lot of funding going into the USSR, but then again the USSR is collecting many points now, so that is fantastic actually for us. So that should turn things over to the Axis, and we'll see how they do. So last time they did more or less pretty badly, and I'm very worried about that bulge in the center. But on the other hand, I'm feeling we're not doing well. That's way too, and we're very exposed on many fronts. So it feels all in the balance. But then again, a lot of these units, I think, need to be reinforced. You can see a lot of 6s down here, some 7s, so they might not be able to strike with their full potential. In particular, this tank army here, I'm very concerned about. They could of course cut in over here, and that would be devastating for us. Enemy contact. Italian battleship coming in to bomb our heavy cruiser that was protecting the carrier down there. More naval movements. Ooh, that is dangerous. Our battleship over here is starting to lose some items, but theirs are very exposed as well. There we go. Lots of air battles. Some attacks. Yeah, that is a very exposed position. This one too. Yeah, this one. It might be striking that one. Greece, I completely expect to fall. Yeah, this one is very exposed. But it is in a fortress, so that at the very least is nice. Although it's probably not protected from the backside over here. Yeah, and this army now can finish it off. Yeah, also this one being attacked from multiple sides, but it's holding out pretty nicely. Actually, yeah, they're trading at 0-0s. And we lost the city. That's unfortunate. The cavalry corps here, one of our weak positions, certainly. And it's getting annihilated. Another corps. Ooh! Bad move. Yeah, we're still being heavily pushed back over here. I did not expect that line to break so strongly. Yeah, and these guys are done for. Yeah, the Desert Reconnaissance Group just being finished over there. Ooh, our light tanks are being pushed back. Some undecisive battle over there, and Greece is falling towards the Italians. Romanian units over here. The engineers being attacked, but not overwhelmed for now. Mechanized infantry. Yeah. Japan really can't do much against us. Armored train is holding out for now, but barely. And that position is starting to look a little bit exposed, yeah. Ooh. Oh my, oh my. We're losing so many units over here. Interceptors at least. Ooh, and we lost the light tanks as China, so lots of bad things happening to us. That's not great. We really need to make sure that we are reinforcing some of these things as we come along. And actually replace units. We lost a lot of actual units this time around. Alright though, let's see what we can do. I think probably the Axis have moved around all their units. Battleship withdrawing. Would be nice to find them. Japanese morale lowered as we go. Greece surrenders. Italy plunders a couple of points. Okay, Japan gets access to Indochina. That is indeed discerning. Malta hinders access supply in the Mediterranean. That is good for us. Late Anglo Cotlets. Okay, that was better. I see. Right, so there we go. It is handed. The turn is handed over to us. So let's, I think, start out with the Eastern Front and deal with it from there. So 3 corps destroyed, 4 corps destroyed on the Soviet side, and the light tanks. Greece surrendered. 4 corps destroyed. Some cruisers down there, some submarines over here. Garrison, that is pointless to know. Danish resistance sends news regarding naval movements in the Kattegat. That is nice to know. So, here we go. Now with the USSR in the war, it is more important than ever that we prevent Persia from aligning itself with the Axis, particularly as the Shah refuses to expel German agents known to be operating in his country. Persia could also prove a useful route for war supplies to reach the USSR from the USA, and this would make all the difference in deciding the outcome of the war. A joint invasion launched by British forces advancing from the Persian Gulf in the south, with the Red Army descending from the north, would overwhelm the country in a very short time and enable us to divide the country's resources between us. We propose to offer control of most of Persia to the USSR while retaining the southern proportion, which includes the oil field at Madi Natuf and the port of Badr Mashar. A joint offensive, codenamed Operation Countenance, would cost both of us and the USSR 50 points each. Would you like to ask Stalin to join us? So let's look at the notes. Economic benefits will outweigh that, so I am going to say yes to that. That is also the historical choice, because historically all of the other supply lines to the Soviet Union were concerned with one or more issues. So one of the supply lines did go to Murmansk, which was of course sailing through all of this territory, which on the one hand was very close to German-occupied Norway, and on the other hand it just went through Arctic waters, so that was very difficult for them. The other one went to Vladivostok, and that meant shipping these supplies all the way through the Soviet Union on the one hand, and also just sailing closely by Japan, which was always very dangerous. So a southern route would have at any rate be preferable. China was unreliable because it was a war, so really going through the Himalaya was not an option. So really the only option really was to go via Persia, so modern day Iran, just land over here and bring the supplies up via the Caucasus. And that is indeed what we are going to do. But firstly, let's look at the Soviet Union and the disposition of its troops. Let's start out in the south over here. So I think these guys here are roughly fine. We might need to pull them back because of this advance of a German tank squadron. Other than that though, I'm relatively speaking fine with the disposition of forces over here. There's that breakthrough and we need to contain that. Now luckily we do have a tank squadron over here and these guys might come in to counterattack the Germans. I'm not actually too sure how successful they will be. The alternative would be to send these guys over here. It doesn't look like we can advance actually to get in contact with the Germans over there. So you know what, I think what we will do then is just pretty much straightforward come in over here and attack the Germans. It's not a favorable trade, by a long shot actually, but it is a trade that I do want to take for these purposes. Right, we do have this army over here, and we do have these engineers. Now, these engineers I would like to pull back and establish a new line, potentially over here, at Kiev, Cherkasy. Might not be the worst. Okay, let's send you over here. And let's tell you to fortify and build it up like, sorry, south and southeast. Yeah, that was it. No, actually that need to be 3 positions. Do we want to move maybe a little bit further back? That would be extremely exposed. But you know what? Maybe we are going to be able to hold out that long. So it needs to be 3 sides. And it needs to be like so. Oh, god damn it. So south and east. The entire west. South and the entire west. Okay, so 3 sides. South and east, like such. Let's try it at least. And then we're gonna move this army in here. Gonna make another attack on this tank army. And lastly move up these special forces. And I really would have hoped that we are doing a little bit better against these guys. Now down here, maybe let's start out in the west over here. Could move you up over here. Are you dug in? You're not really dug in. You guys are dug in a little bit better. But it's fine, I think, to keep you where you are. Just need to reinforce you, really. Make sure you are capable of holding this line. This would actually be a very good attack for us. Very nice. Okay, so that is good. I like that line a lot. We have these light tanks that we could bring down here. So what's your tank attack value? It's a 3. And what's that like for you? Sorry, for you over here, for the mechanized forces. Mechanized. It's a 5. You're much better at attacking tanks. Can move these tanks back. Can move them over here. Establish a somewhat coherent line. Then we're going to move these mechanized forces over here. Conduct another attack on these tanks. That was actually much more favorable than expected, so that is good. You guys attacked already. We have these fighters that we could sacrifice, which I'm not gonna do. We have these guys, we have the garrison unit over here. Garrison unit could just occupy this one. So that does leave us with the light tanks, and all of the other guys don't have any movement points. I really, really would have liked to kick you out. Move the mechanized forces back a little. Move the light tanks in and attack. Defeat the German tanks and have no way of advancing. Bring in the light corps over here. Recapture that town. Do we want to bring the garrison forward? I don't think so. I think we want to upgrade it first because it's really, really junk without being upgraded. Oh, damn it. I should have upgraded it twice. Okay, that was my mistake. So we do definitely want to cover that area now. And I think to do so, what we actually need to do then is operate these guys. Spend a lot of points to do that. But bring you forward into this field. Does mean you're very low on your readiness and your entrenchment. But we are still able to provide the coherent line there. And that I think is very valuable. You actually haven't attacked? Well, that's wonderful. Right, other than that, I would obviously like to reinforce you, upgrade you. But that can't be done now. You could move away, but then again, all of these guys are blocking you, so that's fine. We are somewhat holding out down here, even though we lost a lot of units. So things up here don't really look that bright. In the very north, we are somewhat fine, but over here we certainly aren't. That garrison is holding out. This corps is... we do have these heavy tanks. So let's try to cycle things a little bit. Attack over here. That was a good trait. Better than expected, at least. Move up over here, where we will be exposed to a counterattack, but then again, we are keeping this guy. What else have we got? We have got a couple of tanks. We have these tactical bombers, and then again, they are not that useful. We have this army over here. We have these mechanized forces, which I think might actually be the best to start out the attack over here. Okay, bring in the attack. Ooh. You're actually very horrible at this. Okay, you're over here providing some cover. And then we'll bring in the heavy tanks. And be surprisingly bad at this. Okay, the armor train needs to reinforce. These guys need to upgrade to better weaponry. Likewise, this army over here should get better weapons. It's roughly speaking fine. Why are you where you are? And you? We have some reserves over here. Could shorten the front line by taking Mimmel. How about you can't really attack anywhere useful. Could bring you down here and exchange these guys for that. Or the light tanks, in fact. Ooh, we could attack with the light tanks on the headquarter unit over there. That might not be the worst. Okay, that's good. These tanks really are my main problem. They're also cutting off the supply over here, somewhat. Well, the garrison at least is good at defending. And these guys over here should really be brought down. Cover much more area. I think it would be good if you could cover Gomel, so that they can't sneak into there and gather any supplies. And then the headquarter unit needs to probably withdraw a little bit, so then you're not exposed to attack by these guys. And over here these guys are in defensive line, so let's inflict some damage on the Germans as now that we can. Yeah, this is a good trade, but I don't want to do it right now, so I mean, everything else over here is fine. These light tanks are in trouble. Could attack over here, it would not be the worst. Can we... We could shift you down here, but it would reduce your morale by quite a bit. Some forces over here. Cavalry. Can we actually upgrade you in a meaningful way? Wouldn't be bad. So yeah, that only leaves really these heavy tanks. I thought you'd be much better at attacking. Considerably better. If we were to use this army to attack these tanks, it would cost us 2 supplies or 2 strength points. Let's do it. It was actually better than expected, so that's very nice. Let's use the heavy tanks on that. And we are shattering them. Nice. Very good, very good. So, still we can't occupy this hex. Ah. There's no way we can advance into there. What can you do? Can't you do anything? Nor you. Well, you could if these guys were destroyed a little bit more. I'd also like to pull back these guys so that we could reinforce them. Can I? Okay, so can I reinforce any of you? Just you up there. Which wouldn't be bad. Okay, let's do it. You'll get some reinforcements. And, well, the tactical bombers I don't care about, but the fighters over here I do care about. And we do have some points left, so I think that's fine. And that should be basically it. No one else over here? Well, the fighters. So let's do that. Then yeah, let's go for the cavalry. And these fighters up here. So that they can come into play in a little while. Might do the tactical bombers. But yeah. We should also operate these guys, the headquarters over here. Which we will be moving down here because this area is so far entirely uncovered. So let's move you over to this place. And that way you should be covering quite a bit of this territory. Is there anything else that we can do with the Soviet Union? Well, we do have these 3 corps over here that are guarding against Japan. And I don't think they are required right now. But before we move them, let's upgrade them. We can actually do it this way. And that should be okay. So, oh, I should not have done that. That was a mistake. Okay, because I do actually need to purchase a couple of units as these guys. And we probably can't spend even enough for core over here. So what we need to do then is buy some garrisons. Let's purchase at least one. And they should be coming in very shortly. We do not have any more reinforcements for the Soviets right now. So yeah, that is a problem. But I think that nearly settles things for the USSR. Let's keep on pounding their fighters down here. If they insist on parking them close to the front, like that. And then over here we shouldn't be doing anything, I think. Right, that does settle things for the USSR, so next time we will be dealing with the Western Allies and their moves, and probably gonna see the German next turn. So, it is August 1941, thank you very much for watching, bye bye.